Okay, you got part one and part two. Now it's time for part three. Sorry about part two because Satan tried to vex my phone and he shut it off. So anyway, I ended it where I was standing in this valley. And let me back it up a little bit. This happened when I went to sleep after I was paralyzed and I felt the things around my neck choking me. And after I came face to face with that demon that was like between 7 and 9 feet, that big 1,000-pound half bull, half man thing, and his two Goombas, because he said to me that if I did not bow down in front of him right there and then, he was going to rip my head off. And I made sure I got up and I could smell his breath and he smelled my breath. All glory to God, because the good Lord gave me the strength. At this point, I had enough anyway. I figured I was dead anyway, and I could care less, because I figured if I'm being attacked, you ain't got me. The good Lord got me. And I already knew the good Lord might not like what I'm doing, but the good Lord died for me, and he loves me. So I told the demon, I will never bow down to you. I bow down to the good Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do what you must. And I turned around and I figured I was dead. But anyway, that's when I went to sleep. I don't know how many days later, and I woke up in that valley. And I already knew I was out of my body. I was more alive than I was here. Matter of fact, man, no pain. I could see. I didn't know where I was, but I wasn't scared. It was like anywhere between 10 o'clock at night, it seemed like, or like 1 in the morning. It wasn't bright there like daytime, but you knew it was night. But it wasn't like some people say, you know, they fell and the darkness was so dark. No, it was like I was just standing in the middle of an orchard or something in the middle of a night. And I'm looking around, and then I said, for some reason, I knew I was dead. Something in my head told me I was dead. The good Lord must have told me, because I realized I was. And once I got that command or thought or with the good Lord, you're dead, and you're out of your body, you're dead, I looked down at my left hand, and I wiggled my fingers. And I said, because that's the first thing after I did all that, I said, I'm dead. How can I be dead when I can think? I sound like me. I looked at my hand. I said, I still got fingers. And then I looked down the end of the field, and then I seen in the right corner of the sky this white light that looked like 1,000,000 times brighter than the sun, and more whiter. We don't have that white here. And it started out small and got bigger, and it came down to the edge of the embankment. And as soon as it hit the edge of the embankment, it was Jesus Christ. He had something in his right hand. I think it was the shepherd's staff with the little thing on top. And he walked. And the funny thing about that is when he landed, he was walking towards, it would have been my left. He walked on the top of the embankment, and I knew who it was in the light, because when I seen the light, I knew it was Jesus. And I didn't know then, it took me years to realize this. I'm saying in my mind, oh, it's Jesus, I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to go to hell. I can't believe this, it's all real. This whole thing's real, it's Jesus. I can't believe that this whole thing... And I'm saying this over and over again, and when he landed on the embankment and started walking, I just focused on his feet and his sandals while he was walking. And when he took each step, I could see the microfibers of the grass and the dew of the grass, like the mist shoot up from his feet, like when he took a step. It's hard to explain, like under a magnifying glass. You could see that good there. So when he came down the hill, he came down left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. And I put my head down because he shimmied down the hill as if we would, so we wouldn't like slip down the hill. So I put my head down and I kept saying, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I'm going to go to hell. I'm going to go to hell. I can't believe this. It's all real. He's real. This whole thing's real. The Bible's real. Oh my goodness. And I'm saying all this in my head. And then I notice in front of me about 5 feet, I see his feet. And the gown came all the way down to his feet to where it covered his ankles and the top part of his instep. But I remember his toes, and I remember right behind it, like my shoe here, you see how it has an X and then another X? That was his sandals. That's what his sandal looked like, an X and an X, just like that, X and an X. It didn't go through his toe or nothing. And they were leather, and his gown was white and pleated. And I built houses and all, you know, from my barn. But his pleats were 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches all the way across. And I can't remember if his sleeves were pleated, because you know me, once again, I'm saying, I didn't know when you think it, you're speaking. That's how, you know, I'm human. But when you think there, you're speaking. He can hear what you think. It's like you're speaking. And you hear it loud and clear like I'm talking to you. So anyway, like a meatball, I'm looking at his ankles and his feet, and I'm like, I'm looking for the nail holes. And I'm actually saying this. I'm like, where's the nail holes? I don't see no nail holes. Because his gown was down too far. And then I look up at his face, and I really didn't want to, because at this point I felt filthy, dirty, like a pile of poo, like maggots, like so filthy, scummy. I can't explain it. And I realize now it's because he's so pure. And as I'm looking up, it's like looking in a mirror. And there's a lot to his word where it says we're made in his image, because as I'm looking up, he has this white scarf on his head that sat on each shoulder, and it draped down in the back of him. Why? Because when you're there, you can see all. It ain't like vision here. You can see behind people, around people, up, down, all at the same time. Can't explain it. Ain't gonna try to. So when I looked up, he got these 2 fingers, the thumb and the pointing finger, and he had that veil that was down to about here. And he pushed it back, and I could see his hair was parted here, and it was real wavy and real wavy. He has a big nose, and he has a bump on his nose. His cheekbones are the Shroud of Turin's him, except his face is really swollen in the Shroud of Turin. And he has a long face and a bigger forehead. From the top of his forehead to the bottom of his chin was like this. So he has a long face. And very Middle Eastern, olive complected. His eyes were brown. His hair was brown. Very part that I seen looked very curly, wavy. And he spoke to me, and his beard here was thicker, and his mustache was thicker. I really didn't notice this over here and all that. I know he had a beard, because the simple fact, he looked at me and said, and this is the same tone, "Fear not, I'm with thee." But his mouth wasn't moving. So me again, like, you know, didn't know this. I'm looking at his mouth and I'm like, wow, he's talking to me. I'm saying this in my head, because my mouth, I don't know if it was moving or not either. But I said, wow, he's talking to me, and his mouth ain't moving. And I was fixated on that like this. And then he said it again, but this time he said it with a sternness. He said, "Fear not, I'm with thee." I guess because I kept blabbing. And somewhere in between there, I can't remember if he had his hands out like this or he had them down at his side. But you know me again. I want to look for the nails holes in his hands. But the only thing I could say about that is his gown came down to here. I don't know if you could see this, but his gown was down to here, like this, to the crease of his thumb. So I couldn't see from here down. I couldn't tell you if there was... I didn't see him. I know there's nail holes there, but I couldn't see him because of his gown. And same with his ankles. The gown went down all the way to the instep. And let me tell you something. When you see this man in his glory, you will never be the same again. He radiated love off of him that can't be explained. With all the minds in the world can't be explained. He loves each and every person so much. He's love itself. And the beautiful light in him. Sorry. Every time I talk about it, I'm right there again, so it's... And I tried to hide it. And you would think after all this happened to me, I would be straight-laced and do everything. I sinned again. Tried to cover it up. Bury it with my own agenda. Until I couldn't no more. So, that's that part. I'm going to get off of here because every time I do that, I'm back there. So, God bless you all. And remember, I want everyone to take this in consideration in your mind. You have to be a doer of the word, carry your cross. Throw religion out the door. Get it? Throw it. Religion has nothing to do. Jesus Christ wants you to love him and have a relationship from your heart. He wants you to know he's there. He wants you to recognize that he's there. He wants you to love him. He wants you to talk to him. It doesn't have to be formal. He gives us the air to breathe, everything. Wiggle your fingers. There's so much. I can't. And I was just infused with all this knowledge. Just standing in front of him. People say you didn't ask him his name. No, didn't have to. I don't know if I could. Obviously, I could speak because I kept thinking these things. And when you're thinking, you're talking. And the only reason I came to that perspective is because when he spoke to me, he didn't move his mouth. You're connected. And that is in the Bible too. If you abide in me, I'll abide in you. So, him and you and him. And I want everyone to get this in their mind. Everything you do, right now, this testimony, he has his angels and he's here. It gets written down. You wake up in the morning, written down. Going to sleep, written down. This and that. That's how you have your review. You have your review and you're going to see it in the end. From the time you were born to the time you die, everything you said, everything you thought, everything you did, every word that came out of your mouth, every negative thought you had, every slanderous thought that you wanted to say but you didn't, you held it in your head so you didn't, it's all written down. Nothing's hidden. Nothing. So remember that. God bless you all.